Henry Every, also known as Henry Avery, LCE 1656, disappeared. June 1696, sometimes erroneously given as Jack Avery or John Avery, was an English pirate who operated in the Atlantic and Indian Oceans in the mid-1690s. He probably used several aliases throughout his career, including Benjamin Bridgman, and was known as Long Ben to his crewmen and associates. Dubbed the Arch-Pirate and the King of Pirates by contemporaries, Every was infamous for being one of very few major pirate captains to escape with his loot without being arrested or killed in battle, and for being the perpetrator of what has been called the most profitable act of piracy in history. Although Avery's career as a pirate lasted only 2 years, his exploits captured the public's imagination, inspired others to take up piracy, and spawned works of literature. Every began his pirate career while he was first mate aboard the warship Charles II, as the ship lay anchored in the northern Spanish harbor of Corunna. The crew grew discontented as Spain failed to deliver a letter of marque and Charles II's owners failed to pay their wages, and they mutinied. Charles II was renamed the Fancy and Every elected as the new captain. Every's most famous raid on 7 September 1695 was on a 25-ship convoy of Grand Mughal vessels making the annual pilgrimage to Mecca, including the treasure-laden Ganja Ganj, Fateh Muhammad. Joining forces with several pirate vessels, Every found himself in command of a small pirate squadron, and they were able to capture up to 600,000 in precious metals and jewels, equivalent to around 97.1 million in 2023. This caused considerable damage to England's fragile relations with the Mughals, and a combined bounty of sewn thousand, an immense sum at the time, was offered by the Privy Council and the East India Company for his capture, leading to the first worldwide manhunt in recorded history. Although a number of his crew were subsequently arrested, Every himself eluded capture, vanishing from all records in 1696. His whereabouts and activities after this period are unknown. Unconfirmed accounts state he may have changed his name and retired, quietly living out the rest of his life in either Britain or on an unidentified tropical island, while alternative accounts consider Every may have squandered his riches. 13 he is considered to have died sometime between 1699 and 1714. His treasure has never been recovered. Early life. Background. Modern scholarship suggests Henry Every was born on 20 August 1659 in the village of Newton Ferrers, about 9.7 kilometers, 6 miles, southeast of Plymouth, Devon, England. Parish records suggest that he was the son of John of Aria and his wife, Anne, maiden name unknown. The Every family of Devon was quite established at the time, and it is likely he was a kinsman of the Every family of Wycroft Castle. According to the deposition of William Phillips, a member of Every's crew who gave a voluntary confession after his capture in August 1696, Every was aged about 40 years. His mother lived near Plymouth, and his wife was a periwig seller who lived in Ratcliffe Highway. Every was married, and records suggest that he wed one Dorothy Arthur at Est James Duke's Place in London on 11 September 1690. Though there is no evidence that he had any children. The earliest biographical account of the man, The Life and Adventures of Captain John Avery, London, J. Baker, 1709, states that he was born in 1653 in Catterdown, Plymouth. Although this location and date are now known to be incorrect, they have been frequently cited in earlier literature. Another suggested year for Every's birth is 1665. The memoir's Dutch author, who wrote his account a little over a decade after the pirate had vanished, uses the name Adrian van Broek, but this is probably a pseudonym. The account tells of Van Broek's short captivity by Every's crew aboard Fancy, and claims that Every's father was a trading captain who had served in the Royal Navy under Admiral Robert Blake. Several later accounts of Every's life, most prominently Daniel Defoe's The King of Pirates, 1720, have made reference to the earlier work, but it is of questionable veracity and has been described by the Dictionary of National Biography as fiction, with scarcely a substratum of fact. Although a theory existed that Every's birth name was actually Benjamin Bridgman, especially in light of his nickname, Long Ben, and that Henry Every was in fact an alias, modern scholarship has debunked it. It is accepted by historians that Henry Every was the pirate's real name, given that he used this name when he entered the Royal Navy. As this was prior to the onset of his piratical career, he would have had no need for an alias. He used the name Bridgman only after committing piracy. Every may have been a cousin of the well-known Every Barretts, though this has not been proven conclusively. Death. Unconfirmed accounts state he may have changed his name and retired, quietly living out the rest of his life in either Britain or on an unidentified tropical island, while alternative accounts consider Every may have squandered his riches. 13. He is considered to have died sometime between 1699 and 1714. His treasure has never been recovered.